Welcome to Heartbreaker, your love radio.
In the serene neighborhood of Maplewood, New Jersey, Vanessa Williams prepared dinner in the kitchen of the charming house she shared with her husband, Mark. The aroma of roasted garlic and herbs filled the air, mixing with the soft sounds of jazz playing in the background. "It smells amazing, as always," Mark said, entering the kitchen, a smile playing on his lips as he wrapped his arms around Vanessa from behind. Vanessa laughed softly, leaning back into his embrace. "I'm trying that new recipe we saw on the cooking show. How was your day?" "It was good, busy. The new project is taking off faster than expected," Mark replied, kissing her cheek before moving to set the table. "That's fantastic, babe. I'm so proud of how you're handling everything," Vanessa said, turning to face him with a bright smile. As they sat down to eat, the conversation flowed effortlessly. They discussed their plans for the upcoming vacation, the garden renovations, and the trivial yet amusing antics of their neighbors. Later, as Vanessa cleaned up and Mark settled on the couch with his laptop, she felt a wave of contentment wash over her. Glancing at Mark, her heart swelled with love. Their life together was everything she had ever wanted. Suddenly, the phone rang, cutting through the peaceful ambience of their home. Vanessa, with a frown of curiosity, picked up the receiver. Hello." The voice on the other end was hesitant, unfamiliar. Is this Vanessa Williams?" Yes, speaking. "Who is this?" My name is Peter Thompson. I think we need to talk about our spouses. It's about Mark and my wife, Linda." Vanessa's grip on the phone tightened, her breath caught in her throat. What about them?" I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this." Peter's voice was laced with reluctance and a trace of his own pain. I think we can help each other." As Vanessa struggled to process the words, she turned to see Mark, who had been drawn to the kitchen by the change in her tone. His face was a mask of concern now, his eyes searching hers for a clue. "Is everything all right?" Mark asked, his voice tinged with unease. Vanessa covered the mouthpiece, her voice barely a whisper. "It's something about work." "I'll handle it." She forced a reassuring smile, though her mind raced with confusion and dread. Okay, let me know if you need anything," Mark said, his brow furrowed as he retreated back to the living room. Vanessa took a deep breath, steadying her shaking hands.
I'm listening, Peter.
"Tell me everything." As the night unfolded, the perfect illusion of her life began to crack, revealing the shadows that lurked just beneath the surface. The clock ticked past 9 as Vanessa paced the dimly lit living room, phone pressed firmly against her ear. Mark's distant typing was the only sound besides her own uneasy breathing and Peter's voice unraveling the secret. Peter's tone was heavy with sorrow. "Mark and my wife, Linda, they've been seeing each other for months. I found emails, pictures. I'm so sorry, Vanessa." Vanessa paused near the window, her hand trembling as she pulled back the curtain slightly, peering out into the quiet street as if the night could swallow her shock. "How did you find out about me?" "About us?" she managed to ask. "I hired a private investigator after I suspected Linda was being unfaithful. They tracked them to a hotel in New York last weekend," Peter explained, his voice cracking under the strain. I need to see the proof. Can you send it to me?" Vanessa's voice was a mix of disbelief and a desperate need for the truth. Of course, I'll email everything to you right now." "I thought it was only right for you to know," Peter said. A chime signaled the arrival of the email on her tablet. With a hesitant hand, Vanessa opened the attachments, a flurry of emails, heartfelt messages, and photographs of Mark and Linda, unmistakably close, unmistakably intimate. Mark's laughter from the other room, oblivious to the storm inside her, felt like a distant echo. Vanessa sank into the armchair, her mind racing. After a few moments of painful silence, she spoke up, "Thank you, Peter, for telling me. I need some time to think about what to do next. Of course, take all the time you need. I'm here if you need to talk or plan what comes next, Peter offered, his voice a mix of empathy and resignation. Thank you. Good night, Peter. Vanessa ended the call, her heart heavy. She sat motionless, staring at the frozen image on the screen. The sound of Mark's laughter had ceased, replaced by the soft clicking of his keyboard. Steeling herself, Vanessa stood and walked towards the living room, where Mark sat, engrossed in his work. Mark looked up, his smile fading as he noticed her pale face. Vanessa? What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Vanessa held the tablet out towards him, the screen illuminating the darkened room with images of betrayal. Who is Linda, Mark? Her voice was steady, belying the chaos swirling inside her. Mark's face drained of color, his eyes darting to the tablet and then back to Vanessa's unwavering gaze. He opened his mouth to speak, closed it, then tried again, the words stumbling out. Vanessa, I can explain. Explain. Vanessa interrupted, her voice rising with a mix of anger and pain. How do you explain months of lies? How do you explain this? She gestured to the damning evidence displayed before him. It's not what it looks like. Mark's voice was a feeble attempt at defiance, quickly faltering under her gaze. It looks like betrayal, Vanessa said, her words slicing through the tension. It looks like our life was a lie. Mark slumped back, the weight of his deceit tangible in the air. Vanessa, please, let's talk about this. I made a mistake. A mistake. Vanessa cut him off, her voice sharp. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill, not forgetting you have a wife. The room was thick with unsaid words and broken trust as Vanessa turned away, leaving Mark with his guilt. She needed space to think, to breathe, to decide her next steps in the shattered illusion of their life together. The silence of the house was palpable as Vanessa sat alone at the dining table, the evidence of Mark's betrayal laid out before her like pieces of a puzzle she never wanted to solve. The clock ticked on, each second a reminder of the shattered normalcy of their life together. Mark finally emerged from the living room, his steps hesitant as he approached Vanessa, who remained focused on the cold, hard facts displayed across her screen. He took a deep breath before speaking, his voice laced with desperation. Vanessa, I'm so sorry. I know I've hurt you, and I understand if you can't forgive me, but I need you to know that I regret this more than anything I've ever done. Vanessa looked up, her eyes steady and clear. Regret? Is that supposed to make this better? How long, Mark? How long has this been going on? Mark swallowed hard, his eyes averting hers. 6 months. It started as just talking, but then it became more. And you didn't think to stop? To think of us? Vanessa's voice was a mix of incredulity and pain. I did, every day. But I kept making the wrong choices, Mark confessed, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry, Vanessa. I never wanted to hurt you. Vanessa shook her head, her decision firming with every passing moment. I need to think about what I want to do. About us. But for now, I think it's best if you stay somewhere else. Mark nodded, the weight of his choices evident in his slumped shoulders. I'll pack some things and go to a hotel. Please, just think about what we have, what we could still salvage. As Mark retreated upstairs, Vanessa's phone buzzed. It was Peter. She answered, her voice a whisper of its former strength. Peter, he admitted everything. I told him to leave for now, she said, her voice echoing the hollow feeling inside her.
I'm sorry, Vanessa.
I know how hard this must be, Peter replied, his tone gentle. If you need anything, support, someone to talk to, I'm here. Thank you, Peter. I might take you up on that. I never thought I'd be here. Yet here we are, Vanessa responded, a weary laugh escaping her. Take care of yourself, Vanessa. We'll speak soon, Peter concluded, before the call ended. Alone now, Vanessa turned off the lamp, the room dimming around her. She sat in the dark, allowing herself to feel the full weight of her emotions: anger, betrayal, sadness. Tomorrow, she would need to be strong, to make decisions, to face the world. But tonight, she allowed herself to grieve for the marriage she thought she had, and the future that was promised but now lay in ruins. The next morning, Vanessa awoke to a house echoing with silence, a stark reminder of the emptiness left by Mark's absence. As she sat at the kitchen table, nursing a cup of coffee, her phone vibrated. It was Peter. Morning, Vanessa. I just wanted to check in on you. How are you holding up? His message read. Vanessa typed back, her fingers hesitant. Morning, Peter. It's tough, but I'm managing. Thanks for checking in. Would you like to meet up today? Maybe a walk in the park. Fresh air might help, Peter suggested. After a moment's hesitation, Vanessa agreed. That sounds good. Central Park at noon. See you there, Peter confirmed. At Central Park, the crisp autumn air was a balm to Vanessa's unsettled emotions. She spotted Peter on a bench near the Bethesda fountain, his posture tense as he waited. Hi, Peter, Vanessa greeted, her voice stronger than she felt. Peter stood, offering a small, sympathetic smile. Vanessa. How are you, really? Vanessa sighed, the weight of her situation momentarily overwhelming. Honestly, it's hard. I keep wondering why. Why me? Why us? Peter nodded, understanding her pain. I've been there every day since I found out about Linda. It's a betrayal you never expect. But remember, it's not a reflection of you, but of their failings. They walked in silence for a moment, leaves crunching underfoot, before Vanessa spoke up again. What did you do when you first found out? How did you handle it? I was angry, confused. But then I realized I needed to do something about it. Not just wallow in my pain, Peter explained. That's why I reached out to you. Maybe together we can find a way to handle this, to get back at them for what they've done. Vanessa considered this, the idea of taking action sparking a faint fire in her heart. What did you have in mind? Peter stopped walking, turning to face her. I think we should expose them. Let everyone know what they've been hiding. It's only fair that the truth comes out. Vanessa paused, the idea daunting yet strangely empowering. Expose them? Publicly? Yes, Peter affirmed. We can gather all the evidence, present it in a way that leaves no doubt. They shouldn't just get away with this. Vanessa thought for a moment, then nodded slowly. Let's do it. Let's expose the truth. They need to be accountable for their actions. Then it's settled. We'll start gathering everything we have. Texts, emails, pictures, Peter said, a plan forming between them. They spent the next hour discussing logistics, the shared purpose forging an unexpected bond between them. It was a partnership born of mutual hurt, but also a shared resolve to not let their pain be in vain. As they parted ways, Vanessa felt a small sense of control return to her. This alliance with Peter, though forged in the worst circumstances, gave her a path forward, a chance to reclaim her story. Over the following week, Vanessa and Peter met frequently to organize their strategy and compile the evidence needed for their plan. They found themselves in the quiet corner of a small cafe downtown, their laptops open and papers strewn about the table. Vanessa clicked through another batch of emails she had downloaded. Look at this, she said, her voice a mix of disgust and resolve as she turned her laptop towards Peter. They were planning a weekend getaway next month. Peter leaned over to look, his jaw tightening. It's brazen. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. Makes you wonder how long they would have continued if we hadn't caught on. Yeah, Vanessa agreed, taking a deep breath. Every new piece of evidence feels like a fresh wound, but at the same time, it's validating. It's proof I'm not crazy, that my gut feeling was right. I know what you mean, Peter replied, closing his own laptop with a sigh. Every time I found something new, it hurt, but it also gave me more determination to see this through. We're doing the right thing. Vanessa looked at him, a weary smile forming. Did you ever think you'd become an expert in digital forensics? Peter chuckled. No, I can't say that was on my bucket list. How about you? Did you ever imagine yourself plotting a public revelation? Never, Vanessa said with a light laugh. But here we are. Strange how life throws these curveballs. Their conversation drifted from the task at hand to more personal territories. They discussed their backgrounds, their interests outside the current drama, and even their hopes for the future. Before all this, I was actually considering starting my own baking business, Vanessa revealed, her eyes lighting up a bit. I've always loved baking. It was a dream I put on hold after marrying Mark. That sounds wonderful, Peter responded genuinely. You should still pursue it, Vanessa. Don't let the situation stop you from following your dreams. Maybe I will, Vanessa said, a new determination in her voice. And what about you? Any dreams on hold? Peter paused, then smiled. I used to paint a lot. Landscapes, mostly. I had a gallery show once, a long time ago. Maybe it's time I picked up my brushes again. It sounds like we both have parts of our lives that we left behind. Maybe it's time to reclaim them, Vanessa suggested, a shared understanding between them growing stronger. As they packed up their belongings, ready to leave the cafe, Vanessa felt a sense of camaraderie with Peter that went beyond their shared misfortune. It was an unexpected friendship, forged in the fires of betrayal, but strengthened by shared interests and mutual support. Same time tomorrow? Peter asked as they stepped outside into the cool evening air. Same time tomorrow, Vanessa confirmed, feeling slightly more hopeful about the future, regardless of the past shadows that still loomed over them. As autumn deepened into a crisp, cool winter, the bond between Vanessa and Peter continued to grow. Their frequent meetings had become a cornerstone of support and understanding, not just a venue for plotting their response to betrayal. One brisk Saturday afternoon, as they walked through the leaf-strewn paths of Central Park, their conversation took a turn toward the personal once again. All this time we've been focused on dealing with our situations. I never asked how you're really coping with everything, Peter said, looking over at Vanessa with a concerned expression. Vanessa took a moment, watching a pair of squirrels chase each other around a tree. Honestly, it's been tough. But talking to you, having someone who understands exactly what it feels like, it's made a huge difference. I don't feel so alone anymore. Peter nodded, his breath visible in the cold air. I feel the same. It's strange, isn't it? How something so painful can bring people together in ways they never expected. They stopped walking, standing by the edge of a small, frozen pond. Vanessa looked up at Peter, her eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and newfound affection. Peter, I want to thank you. Not just for the support, but for being here, really here, with me through all of this. Peter reached out, his hand gently brushing hers. Vanessa, these last few months, getting to know you, it's been the one good thing that came out of this mess. He hesitated, searching her face for a sign. Vanessa's heart quickened as she felt the electric touch of his hand. She stepped closer, her voice soft. What is it, Peter? I'm glad I met you. And I feel like there's something here, something more than just friendship. I don't want to assume, but I also don't want to miss a chance to explore what this could be, Peter confessed, his eyes locked on hers. Vanessa felt a rush of warmth envelop her, the chill of the air forgotten. She smiled, her hand squeezing his. I've been feeling the same way. I was just too scared to say it first. They both laughed, a light, relieving sound that echoed softly in the quiet park. Vanessa stepped even closer, and Peter wrapped his arms around her, pulling her into a comforting embrace that felt like the closing of a painful chapter and the beginning of something new. As they stood there, the world around them seemed to pause, a moment of peace and potential amidst the chaos of their lives. Finally, they stepped back, still holding hands, a silent agreement forming between them. So, what do we do now? Vanessa asked, a playful tone in her voice. Peter grinned, his eyes bright with hope. We take it one day at a time. We explore this, us. And we help each other heal, fully and truly. It sounds like a plan, Vanessa replied, her heart lighter than it had been in months. They resumed walking, their steps in sync, a newfound joy in their companionship warming them against the winter air. This unexpected turn in their relationship wasn't something either had anticipated, but both Vanessa and Peter knew they had found something rare and worth exploring. In each other, they found not just solace from their past pains, but also the promise of a future filled with mutual understanding and shared dreams. As winter melted into spring, Vanessa and Peter found themselves not only navigating the complexities of a new relationship, but also laying the groundwork for their lives moving forward, both individually and together. One sunny afternoon, they sat together at a small cafe, surrounded by the bustling energy of revival that spring brings. It was here they planned to finally confront their past and shape their future. I've been thinking about how far we've come, Peter. It feels like we're ready to start building something new, something real and lasting, Vanessa said, stirring her coffee thoughtfully. Peter nodded, his expression serious but his eyes warm. I agree. We've both been through so much, and now we have this chance to start over, not just in our personal lives but professionally too. You still thinking about that bakery? Vanessa smiled, her enthusiasm evident. Yes, actually, I am. I've started looking into locations. There's a small spot available downtown. It needs work, but it could be perfect. That sounds amazing, Vanessa. You have a real talent, and I think it's time the world sees it, Peter encouraged, his hand reaching across the table to squeeze hers. And what about you? Are you going to pick up your painting again? Vanessa asked, genuinely interested in his dreams as well. I've actually started a few sketches. Maybe I'll have enough for a small exhibit soon. It's been really fulfilling, getting back into it, Peter replied, a flush of excitement coloring his tone. Their conversation shifted towards their planned reveal of the affairs. They had decided to go public soon, ensuring that they controlled the narrative and brought closure to that chapter of their lives. Are we ready for this? Vanessa asked, a trace of nervousness flickering in her voice. Once we go public, there's no turning back. Peter took a deep breath, considering her words. I think we are. It's part of moving forward, isn't it? Closing this chapter properly and starting anew with no secrets and no regrets. Vanessa nodded, her resolve firming. You're right. It's time we put it all behind us. For our peace of mind and to finally move on. They spent the rest of the afternoon planning the logistics of their announcement, deciding on the timing and the platform. They would share their story sensitively but firmly, ensuring that the focus was on healing and truth rather than revenge. As they left the cafe, hand in hand, they felt a sense of accomplishment and anticipation. They were not just rebuilding their personal lives, but their identities and careers as well. The path ahead was uncertain, but together they felt they could face anything. Here's to new beginnings, Vanessa, Peter said as they stepped outside, the the spring air fresh and promising. To new beginnings, Vanessa echoed, her heart full of hope and determination as they walked together into the season of renewal. Several months had passed since Vanessa and Peter went public with the details of their spouses' affairs. The decision to share their story had been difficult, but ultimately, it provided them both with a sense of closure and a clear path forward. They were now sitting on the balcony of Vanessa's apartment, which overlooked the bustling city that was starting to bloom with the early signs of summer. Vanessa took a sip of her tea, her gaze thoughtful as she looked out over the skyline. You know, I never imagined I'd feel this light again, she said, turning to Peter with a reflective smile. Going public was tough, but I think it freed us in ways I didn't expect. Peter nodded, his eyes meeting hers. It was like shedding a heavy weight, wasn't it? Now, there's nothing but the future to focus on. They talked about the reactions from their friends and the community, which had been mostly supportive. Vanessa then shifted the topic to their current projects, eager to share her progress. My bakery is set to open next month, Vanessa announced proudly. Can you believe it? It's finally happening. And the community support has been incredible. Peter's face lit up with admiration. I knew you could do it, Vanessa. You're going to make it a huge success. And I've got news too, I've been offered a gallery exhibit for my paintings in the fall. That's fantastic, Peter. I'm so proud of you, Vanessa beamed, genuinely delighted for him. Their conversation turned to the deeper layers of their relationship, exploring how far they had come and where they saw themselves in the future. Vanessa, these past months with you have been some of the best of my life, Peter said earnestly. I know we started under unusual circumstances, but I can't imagine my life without you now. Vanessa reached for his hand, squeezing it affectionately. I feel the same, Peter. What started as the worst times brought me to the best times, with you. It's strange how life works out sometimes. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the city, Peter turned to Vanessa with a hopeful expression. I've been thinking about the future a lot lately, about us. And I wonder if you feel the same about taking the next step together. Vanessa, feeling a surge of joy and anticipation, nodded without hesitation.
Do.
Let's build a future together, not just side by side, but intertwined. I love you, Peter. I love you too, Vanessa, Peter replied, leaning in to kiss her softly. As they sat together, watching the sky change colors and the city lights begin to twinkle, they discussed plans for moving in together and even talked about blending their professional lives by showcasing Peter's art in the bakery. Their journey through betrayal had led them to discover not only a new love, but also new paths in their careers and personal growth. They were building a future on their terms, with honesty and love at its foundation. To new beginnings, indeed, Vanessa said, her voice filled with optimism as they both looked forward to the many possibilities that lay ahead. Together, they had turned a painful ending into a hopeful and exciting new beginning.